All right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. We still have Honorable Betty Maina. She's the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Industrialization, Trade and Enterprise Development, just trying to explain to us what's happening in the terms of trade and industrialization docket. And CS, before we took the break, you were explaining to me, if I'm a business person in, say, in Gikomba, and I imported some second-hand clothes and now they're locked at the port, where do I start?
Thank you very much. I think what I was saying before is this. The notice from the Bureau of Standards was quite clear that the World Health Organization declared a pandemic on the 12th of March. And therefore, the restriction applies to clothes and things that are shipped after that period from countries that have been suffering or are suffering. Yeah. That epidemic. We recognize that some people had shipped clothes earlier or had shipped things earlier, and therefore the important thing is to ensure that they had been inspected, and if necessary, they'll still be re-inspected before release. Okay, so they will definitely be released at some point, but they just have to be disinfected and re-inspected, right? So I think that the Bureau of Standards has to be certain that the goods are safe for Kenyans. Okay. Yeah. All right. We have a call online, Joash from Nyamira. Joash, good morning. All right. So, CS, I have another question here for you from Engineer Lazaro Kanyambok. He says this is the opportunity for Kenyans to learn the importance of self-reliance, but we are not strengthening our Jua Kali sector, which has been neglected for decades. Actually, that's not that's not true. Yeah. I think there is a lot of activities and a lot of programs by government to support the Jua Kali sector. The Kenya Industrial Research and Development Institute, for instance, provides incubation services for those who are keen and have been serious innovators and developing their products. The Kenya Industrial Estate is up and running and provides also incubation facilities as well as financing. Both ICDC and IDB also provide financing. So it's important that these operators also get in touch with the government support institutions. And in the case of something like the Micro and Small Enterprises Association Authority, we actually have offices all over the country. So therefore, these Jua Kali guys can also visit. But we'll also encourage them to do outreaches to the different areas of operations of micro and small enterprises in order to educate them of the services that they offer. All right. We have a call online, Patrick from Nairobi. Patrick, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, go ahead, your question or comment to the CS.
Yes, my question to the CS is,
yes.
Now, we see that other governments have set aside funds during this COVID-19 crisis, yes, so that at least we can boost the traders and people who have been worst hit by the crisis. So what measures has the government put in during this time now, considering that major cities have been locked down? So that's my question.
All right. Yeah. CS, okay, thank you very much. One of the first announcements that was made was by the governor of the central bank in the presence of the president and the banking institutions that, one, they'd reached an agreement to flexibilize loan repayment and facilities of their customers. The other announcement is that the banks have got, at least the central bank announced a reduction on the cash reserve ratio for banks, for banks, which means that there is additional liquidity in the market. The banks have invited their customers to come and negotiate with them their facilities so that they are able to at least have some window and some moratorium. So, the money in the banking sector is not free money. It's money that belongs to depositors. So it's important that borrowers approach their banks and negotiate on the terms of their facilities. And many of these small and medium enterprises and micro enterprises are customers of banks, so it's possible. And this is the window that has been given. So it would actually be nice to approach your bank, Patrick, and let us know, or let the governor, let ourselves know your experience with your bank in arranging a facility to tide you over during this time.
All right. We have another caller from Kwale. Good morning. Sakom from Kwale, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very good, sir. What is your question or comment?
Yeah, my question is on the issue of Kwale.
Yes.
Whereby we have had this coconut plant for very many years now.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been exporting it from time to time to Tanzania and the other parts of the country. But we have never had any plans from the Ministry of Industrialization to think of how to add value in the coconut production in Kwale.
Okay.
So my question is, what is the plan that the Minister of Industrialization has for this precious crop called coconut? Since it has been with us for very many years.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Sakom. Two things is that the Ministry of Industrialization makes policies to support entrepreneurs. So my challenge to you and to others in Kwale would be, do you have an idea around further utilization of our coconuts that you would like us to support, that we support specific individuals? But I'd also like to confirm that even within our Kenya Industrial Estates facility in Malindi is a farm that has been processing coconuts and processing other nuts. I think you might. I mean, I guess it's difficult on air to make specific reference, but the company I'm mentioning that we've incubated is Kentaste, and there have been several others who have come to KIE with ideas. So I think the challenge is that as Kenyans, we need to be entrepreneurial, and then we seek the support of these support institutions of government. But there are people who are actually working and exporting these processed products.
All right. We have another caller online, Francis from Nairobi. Francis, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, go ahead with your comment or question, sir. Francis?
Yes.
Yes,
my question is that to
Sorry? Say that again, Francis?
The directive that was given by the president about this moratorium.
About
now
what?
We have this,
Francis, just reduce the volume of your TV set for a bit and then say that again. The directive given by the president in regards to what exactly?
The bank, that's to money that is borrowed from the
moratorium. Yeah.
Now, my question is, we have these conventional banks that they don't consider themselves controlled by central banks. How is that the government is going to handle? Because right now they've already started calling on us to pay.
Okay, Francis, I didn't get that question too well. Repeat that again.
I'm saying we have these non-conventional lending institutions
yes,
that we borrowed money from to do business. Yes. Now they've already started calling on us to pay when business right now is down. What is the government doing exactly for those kind of institutions?
All right. Is that the issue of the CRB?
Trevor.
Yes, I think that's the issue of the CRB listing, if I'm not wrong, because I could barely hear that line. So we should just reconnect with Francis again, call him again and find out what he's saying, and then the CS will answer that. CS, there's also another question still from someone called Lango. Lango on Twitter says, we can only build so much local capacity. Some production requires scales of economies and must be done in China. Let's focus on comparative advantages for our country instead. What are some of our comparative advantages, CS, that we should be trying to harvest into right now?
I agree with Sidrise Lango.
Yes.
No country can exist by itself. That is why we have all these global linkages. I think so. It's important that we, and for us in Kenya, even as we focus on our self-reliance and building up our capacity, it is not capacity that will be consumed in Kenya alone. It is going to be consumed in our region and with all our other trading partners. So we would be. What we have looked at shows that we are fairly comparative when it comes to agro-processing and processed foods. We're fairly competitive when it comes to garments and garments making, which is why we've been investing a lot in the rest of the supply chain. We can be competitive in other light manufacturing, pharmaceuticals. So those are the areas that we are focusing on building greater capacity within Kenya.
All right. We have another call online, Olvy from Lugari. Olvy, good morning.
Oh, good morning too. Huyu ni Olvy wa Lugari.
Yes.
Salamia kwanza huyu mgeni wetu hapo.
Amesalimika.
Asante. Sasa mimi niko na swali nataka kuuliza huyu mgeni wetu.
Endelea Olvy.
Okay, kumekuwa na madai ya kwamba kuna mwanadada amepatikana sehemu za Bungoma huku amepata hii dawa ya kutibu ili gonjwa la coronavirus. So nilikuwa nataka kusema hizo ni baadhi ya myths ambayo tunasikia ama tu ni ile kasumba tu ambayo watu hujitokeza from different size. Alafu swali la pili, unapata watu wengi wako na ignorant attitudes towards hili janga la coronavirus. Wakisema wasibisa about the panya roots au unapata tu wanafuata. In case janga hilo likiwapata alafu wanatoroka sehemu kama huku Lugari Manyonyi, tutafanya vipi? Na ni mabrothers wetu hata tukiwakataza wanakuwa vichwa ngumu tena wanakuwa mouthy. Asante ni Olga kutoka Lugari.
Okay, asante Olga kutoka Lugari. Yes, I'm sure that is not really in your docket, but you understand what she's trying to say in terms of people claiming that they have gotten the cure to COVID-19 and those who are going against the government regulations in terms of curfew and also the inter-county movement. That now you will speak on behalf of government, though.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you, Olga. I think COVID-19 is here with us, and it's a serious matter. I don't think it is something that it's not just in Kenya; it's in the rest of the world. So it's important that people take seriously the guidelines and the directives on health that have been given by the Ministry of Health, which include washing your hands, sanitizing, keeping social distance. Now, the reason for the curfew is to reduce movements of people and opportunities for self-infection. I mean, this curfew is not punishment. It's a painful thing, all right, but it is intended for the good of Kenyans, and the president has clarified that severally. So it's actually irresponsible of us as Kenyans to dodge it, because it's really intended to protect you. So you can't dodge. When you start to dodge your own protection, then you're putting yourself in harm's way. So please encourage everybody to comply with the curfew, with the lock-in. On the question of a cure for coronavirus, we don't have one yet. Globally, we do not have a cure or a vaccine for coronavirus. So whoever is saying that, it's clearly a myth.
Okay. And CS, there's another one here. Kiprop says, we have a pineapple factory in our county, Bureti Pineapple Plant, that has not been working for nearly 10 years now. In fact, the machines are rusting outside. Ask the CS, Betty, if she has developed any measure to salvage the situation of Bureti Pineapple Plant.
Okay, I'm actually quite familiar. I'm quite familiar with that because it's also I'm also from the same county, and I think Kiprop will actually be aware that the Kenya Industrial and Research and Development Institute has come to assess what went wrong. I think in this particular instance, there was a mismatch between the size of the space and the size of the space and the factory itself. And even I think the CDF and the county government hadn't aligned their resources in that regard. And that sometimes happens when we don't have coherent planning for projects. So it's important to correct all this.
Okay. And we have a caller from Kericho, Hillary. Hillary from Kericho. Hillary, good morning.
Good morning, Eva.
Yes, go ahead with your comment or question, Hillary.
Okay, I want to ask the CS.
Yeah.
They've been telling the farmers to do the farming of avocado.
Okay.
Yeah, currently it could be easier for us here in Kericho. If we are doing this, the planting of avocado, we have a factory whereby we can get direct from our farm produce. Then the second question is about Rivertech industry there in Eldoret. You can see we have the potential to produce our own clothes here in Kenya. Why can't they put more effort in those sectors so that we avoid this issue of importing the second-hand clothes into our country? That one would have helped us to create more employment and more revenue in our own country. Thank you, Trevor.
Thanks, Hillary. CS.
I think let me start with the second one. The revitalization of Rivertex has been quite inspiring for many people, and we've seen an increase in local production of textiles, and it's also encouraged many farmers to replant cotton. And it should be we should be able to revive a lot of our textile mills so that we are able to provide the necessary fabric for our fashion industry. And a lot of us SMEs and people in the fashion sector are partnering to produce these clothes within Kenya. So I'm very optimistic that we can get to the stage where we are clothing ourselves. But that also depends on the demand for it. And the president is a good champion of this, wearing made in Kenya apparel on a regular basis. And I think the encouragement is to you and I and others to be able to wear what is made in Kenya and therefore create a demand for Kenyan fabric. And I agree with Hillary that if we do this, we should be able to replace mitumba in our midst, because that we shouldn't be wearing second-hand clothes, some of which were originally made here. With regard to processing avocado, I think the second point is to actually say there have been many different cottage industries growing around processing of avocado, making avocado oil. Right now, we're exporting a lot of raw avocado, but we are also supplying, or Kenyans are supplying those in the cosmetics industry and the beauty industry. So there is great growing demand within the country for processed avocado and avocado products. So it is, and these are not very expensive things. So Hillary, if you and your colleagues and others are interested in doing something like that, then you will get support from the ministry either through KIRDI or KIE to be able to establish such factories. I want to emphasize, Hillary, that it is not the business of government to set up factories. It is a business of business. It is government to encourage business to do this.
Okay. We have another caller, Ahmed from Garissa. Ahmed, good morning.
Good morning, President.
Yes, go ahead with your comment or question, Ahmed.
I think this is the CS for industrialization. So, I want to ask a question on the hospitality industry. Can I go on?
To the what, sorry?
Hospitality industry.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm the tribe here in Garissa. People are sleeping in lodge in mass number.
Okay.
So there's no social distancing. People are not being tested.
Okay.
So we want to know now at county level, these things are being spread at a very high rate.
Okay.
So what is the government doing to enforce these laws at county level? Because it seems that the local administrators are oblivious of what is going on, by the way.
Okay.
So we want to ask the CS, what are they doing? Because these laws, you want to analala kama mitumba, there is no restriction, there are no rules and regulations.
All right. Got it. Thank you, Ahmed. That's Ahmed from Garissa. As soon as we get the CS, we will get back to her and she'll answer that question. We seem to be having a slight technical hitch at this particular point. I also see a lot of comments coming through on Twitter here. Richard Omache is wondering about the non-conventional loaning entities meant for mobile loan apps, which are now on the people's necks. We'll also pose that question to the CS in terms of when we get her back, that is in terms of the issue of banks not being forcing people to pay loans, but now the non-conventional ways have been asking people to pay those loans in real time and pushing them to do it. Paul also is saying, ask the CS what happened to the resuscitation of the sugar industry through the 1 billion check issued by His Excellency the President. Also, why is her colleague CS Munya insistent on importing maize instead of sourcing locally to boost the farmers' incomes? Those are all questions coming through for the CS. We'll get that in just a bit if we are lucky. We're trying to fix our technical hitch there just to get in touch with the CS. But I wanted to show you, if you could come with me and come and also see what is happening on the other side. I want to show you on the international news what's really happening right now, just to run through international news that is on the BBC, CNN, and to show you what's really happening there. In terms of international news, all right, let's show you the numbers right now. Come with me and let's show you what's happening internationally as we try and get in touch with the CS here. Have these numbers changed at any time now? I don't think so. We'll just refresh this together and see if there's any update here in terms of the coronavirus as we continue looking at that. And these are the numbers coming through right now. They're still at 1 million, 1.5 million to be exact. Any place randomly, Colombia there with 2,054. Let's see what's happening in our continent right now in Africa. I don't think there's any changes as we speak. There's still nothing much going on right here. This is in Kenya, 179. That's a total as we speak right now. 164 active, 6 deceased, 9 recovered. All right. Let's see what else is happening internationally. I told you earlier on that I'll take a look at what's happening here in the UK and see ministers are set to discuss the virus lockdown review. William and Kate video call. Key workers and children, passport officers, staff told to go back to work. That's generally what's happening across the globe here. I'll run you through CNN in just a bit. But for now, we have the CS for Trade and Industrialization, Betty Maina, joining us on phone. Betty, sorry for that slight technical hitch. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to respond to a question that someone is asking about non-conventional loan giving apps that are now texting people and forcing them to pay despite the government directive that they shouldn't be really forcing people to do it, the digital lenders. Is there a way that that can be remedied?
I thank you, Trevor, and I do not know what happened, why we got cut off, but I think on the issue of digital lending,
yeah.
Those creditors who have been affected should actually report that.
Okay.
So we should report that to the authorities. Because if he is in a position to text us the particular offending lender, then we should we would be happy to try and take that up with them.
All right, Madam CS, there was another question here from one Paul who says, ask the CS what happened to the resuscitation of the sugar industry through the 1 billion check issued by His Excellency the President.
That one, the Minister for Agriculture will be clarifying that shortly, because they've been dealing with it, because I think you remember there was a sugar task force.
Okay.
The sugar task force under this chairmanship and the chairmanship of Governor Oparanya.
Yeah. And
they have submitted their report, and that report has been considered, and decisions are made. So I think the Minister for Agriculture will be clarifying the next steps with regard to the sugar industry shortly.
All right, CS, I'll give you a chance to give your closing remarks and also talk about the issue of value addition. How come we are not really building on the materials that we have so far? What does it take? Is it a matter of government suggesting to people, or is it the people who are supposed to give the ideas to government to be facilitated?
Actually, Trevor, I think you're not correct in that regard. When I look at one of the largest components of our manufacturing sector, is food and beverages, and that actually comes from value addition from our own products. It's not as much as we would like, I agree, but it's we've made some major steps along the way. So part of what I said at the beginning was that once we can bring some more capital goods in the country, I think what we will really be looking at is different tools that we can use to add value to our agricultural products, to increase the shelf life of some of our products, to increase the value for tea, for instance, through value addition and then packing and branding. So we can add value to our products. It's what we've done with our nuts, for instance. I think they are world renowned now. So we've made, for almost all our major products, it is actually a form of value addition within the country.
Okay.
And these are good things because they can actually be done by anyone. They can be done very small cottage industries. So it is something that we encourage Kenyans to obviously to come up with those ideas. But in all our agricultural shows, when we walk around, there's a lot of value addition and innovation in that regard.
Okay.
So as I end, I think I am optimistic about Kenya. I'm optimistic that we can first of all, that we can conquer Corona so long as we obey the health protocols that have been issued by the government and by the Ministry of Health regularly. But in addition, from the business side, there is a great opportunities for us to calibrate manufacturing here and be able to replace a lot of the suppliers that have supplied us in the past and the goods that we have imported that we can actually make within the country.
All right. Honorable Betty Maina, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Industrialization, Trade and Enterprise Development. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning, despite the technical hitch there. Thank you for speaking to us and taking questions from the nation as well. All right. All right, so we're taking a quick break here on Daybreak. When we come back, actually, it will be at the top of the hour, just to tell you what's really happening, give you a brief at the top of hourly news like we had promised earlier on as we fight to conquer this coronavirus pandemic. But for now, we're taking a quick break. Stay with Citizen TV.